Hey guys, Greg here with the Vinyl Rundown. Got a special guest to interview today, and all the way from Los Angeles. Down the street from me is probably one of the very top session and studio musicians in LA, trumpeter, Mr. Chris Tedesco.
Hi,
Hey, how you doing?
good.
Thanks for joining me. Volume sounds good there, so this all
Yeah,
looks
I'm
sounds pretty good.
sitting in
Um,
my studio in my garage with my air conditioning on.
Yeah, so Chris and I are both in Los Angeles, kind of what's called the West San Fernando Valley, kind of the hotbed of the working class entertainment people. And Chris is kind of a mainstay of the LA recording scene, going back for a
30,
while,
33
uh,
years.
33 years, doing a lot of recording in your house since we're under COVID. Uh, those of you that are big music fans might recognize his last name. The Tedesco name is actually a really famous name, kind of a dynasty in the studio recording world. And I'm going to have you talk about that. I had a prop to show.
Uh-oh.
It's right here on my desk. I've had this in my collection. I play guitar. I've had this for 40 years.
You want to see
If
mine? Mine is
you have one, I got to explain to people who this man is. The
yep, that
Tedesco family. You have one too? We got the same book.
I bought it. I bought it when I was on the road with the Tommy Dorsey band in '84 to read because of the tips. And then I used to read his Guitar Player magazine
Yeah,
column.
that's how I found out about Tommy also. So for those who don't know,
Yeah.
Tommy is probably the most recorded guitar player in the world by virtue of him playing on zillions of session gigs in the 60s and 70s,
Yeah.
TV shows, movies, records. And back in those days, probably today too, you're not credited half the time. So it might say Beach Boys or Monkeys, but it's really Tommy and his
Hmm.
people.
Yeah.
And they made a movie about this recently, about the group of guys and ladies that he was with called the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
And my subscribers who are vinyl record addicts probably have seen that movie, but you guys definitely got to see the Wrecking Crew. And that
Yeah.
was actually also part of somebody in your family is also part of that movie, also, right?
Yeah. Tommy's second son, Denny, is the been in the film business for his whole life, and when Tommy was diagnosed with lung cancer, I want to say, I think he passed in November of '97.
Hmm.
Yeah, and like a year before that, finds out he was a huge. The guys. You saw the pictures of the studio players in the '60s,
Hmm.
and they had an ashtray in front of their music stand, and everybody smoked while they played. And it was, if it was an orchestral session with Sinatra and Nelson Riddle, the horn players in the back had ashtrays, and they smoked while they played or in between. Sinatra smoked Camels and drank Jack Daniels while he recorded.
And then they
So
went on a
like,
smoke break every 10 minutes, too.
yeah, so everybody smoked. So Tommy probably smoked cigarettes for 30 years, but he
So
smoked.
Tommy's gone, but
Yeah,
we still got a
30.
lot of Tedescos running around.
Yeah, so his son Denny made the Wrecking Crew documentary. He started it a year before he passed,
Hmm.
and then it's like a 15-year process of trying to get it out there globally. And he got Magnolia Entertainment to take it over on DVD and
You
get
had
it out
trouble
there.
getting rights clearances, I
Oh
understand.
yeah, no,
There's
there
all
was.
these great hit songs. You got to
Yeah, yeah,
pay for
because
each song.
yeah, the problem was is that, let's say, Mamas and the Papas, the record. So in order to reuse that song for a project, you have to pay everybody that's on that union contract that existed in '69. They all are due a prevailing wage of the current record date the wage contract for what it is now. It's like $440. So you want to put out a documentary film? Okay. So you got 40 tunes. Okay. It's 500,000, but we'll do a deal. So there was like a $250,000 deal that the musicians union wanted, that they held hostage. So Denny goes, okay, let me figure this out. So he did a GoFundMe a couple of years
Mhm.
before it came out, and he needed 250, and I think he raised 320,000, and he paid off all the musician union contracts. In fact, he's raising money so he could. His mom was still alive, his mom got a bunch of checks from all the songs that Tommy played on. Hey, you get a new check when you play on a famous song and somebody reuses it legitimately. Like I have these CDs behind me and most of them are union dates. Now it's like half and half. We'll talk about what the union is right now. But in those days back then, it was all union. So you have players' families that those checks still go to. When you play on something, the family in perpetuity gets any famous song, you name it, like out of the Wrecking Crew. What's the most famous song? Is it the Monkees?
Beach Boys, Monkees.
Yeah, let's say it's the Beach Boys' biggest hit. Everybody loves the Brian Wilson one.
Good Vibrations.
Yeah, let's say it's that, and it's 3 guitar players. It's Tommy, Barney Kessel, and Dennis Budimir, and they use that all the time. Well, there's a union contract on the PDF. As soon as that shows up on a TV show, hey everybody, we got to pay these. We got to pay everybody again, and then the music that's generated from the new production pays for that, and then people hate paying it, but that's the way it works.
Well, the good news is the musicians still get some money going forward because the Beach Boys made $1 bazillion. The guys who played the record, they pretty much just got their wage for the day. And that might have been it unless there was a reuse.
So right? It's always good to be on a union contract, but then the way the globe is now, because they can get anything we do anywhere now, recording wise. LA used to be the capital, right? So then since the advent of the internet and digital Pro Tools, as we're talking about, I'm interchangeable as a trumpet player around the globe, Mm-hmm. So that's a big difference. But then, when I was in high school going to college, I wasn't sure I wanted to be a full-time musician until I really met Tommy. And he would come back to Niagara Falls if there was a family wedding. Tommy's brother Joe was a sax player in Niagara Falls, Buffalo, but he was also the CFO of Mentholatum Deep Heating Rub in Buffalo. He was a VP.
Tommy was?
No, Tommy's brother Joe.
Tommy's brother Joe. Okay.
Yeah, his older brother Joe by 2 years. So Joe Tedesco lives at the end of our street in Niagara Falls. Okay. Mm-hmm. Drives past our house every time. He say, hey, we're having a party for his daughter would get married. Lenny's getting married, and we're having a party at the house, and Tommy will be here next Friday. So every time he came back, I'm 15. Hey, so what's LA like? All that stuff. So you get primed, and this is a guy that he was never a big talker. He'd play on something famous. He wouldn't his thing that he said was think big, talk small, and thank God. Those 3 lines. So he probably didn't even remember he played on Mamas and Papas until he started writing these books. Oh shit, wow, that was pretty big, So
you play on a record and you don't know if it's going anywhere.
Nah.
And half the time you assume it's not going anywhere because a lot of them don't.
Yeah. So that
it turns out to be a smash hit.
Yeah, super lucky that I have this last name. So then I go to college. I go, I think I want to be a full-time musician. I went to New York after I graduated University of Miami. I got a music business degree from University of Miami because I didn't want to just have a performance degree in trumpet. I wanted to have.
What year was that approximately?
I graduated May of '83, and
a lot of big players came out of University of Miami.
Yep, that was it was the wave.
Dad, right?
It was the wave after Willie was there with Pat Metheny,
Jocko.
Jocko, Danny Gottlieb, the drummer, and then my wave was right after that, like 5 or 6 years after that. So I went to that school for jazz.
I didn't know you went there.
Yeah, I did. I
should have read your bio better.
Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, well, I think it's on there. I'm not sure. So I go there as a jazz major, and I realize, I go, what am I going to do with a jazz degree? So then they had this music industry degree, and I thought, I want to do that just in case. I don't want to be the guy 40 years old looking for a gig, not knowing anything about any business at all. So it's the best thing I ever did because I do a lot of music contracting. I do a lot of music business, and it's better that I did that. So I went to New York to think I was going to be a musician in New York City. Fall of '83, I'm there for 2 months. I hated it. don't like tall buildings, don't like, I got to see sky and stuff. And then, you know, it was Broadway, there was recording sessions, but New York was a much harder place in the fall of '83 than it is now. You know, after 9/11, a lot of things changed after 9/11. So I didn't dig New York. It was an hour flight, 6-hour drive from Niagara Falls. It made sense to go there, but it didn't agree with me. Then I go on the road with the Glenn Miller Band in January of '84 for a month, subbing for somebody. Then I do the Tommy Dorsey Band for 15 months, and I end up in California in August of '84. This is a good story about Tommy. August of '84, Tommy Dorsey Band, we're doing a week at Disneyland. They used to do a series called Big Bands at Disneyland, and every week there was a different big band. Basie Band, Artie Shaw, Buddy Rich, Count Basie.
Were any of the original guys leaders still there? Were they alive?
Yeah, not in the Tommy Dorsey Band because he had passed in '55, but this trombone player called Buddy Morrow, who was a big hit in the '50s with Night Train. I
did that in high school, big band.
Yeah, so everybody knows the tune. Made the most famous recording is Buddy Morrow. So, anyways, I'm doing the Tommy Dorsey Band, so I'm finally coming to California my first time, and I'm staying in Anaheim, and we're doing big bands at Disneyland, and I still have the video of it on VHS. So I call up Tommy. I say, hey, finally in California. I'm not moving here, but I'm at Disneyland for a week, and I say, can I come see you work, right? And I'm like, he goes, yeah. This is before security at studios. He goes, yeah, okay, come up on Tuesday. I'm working at 10 o'clock all day. I'm doing this film with John Williams. It's called The River. It's at Paramount Studios. And, you know, I took a Greyhound bus, and then took a cab from the Hollywood bus station to Paramount Studios, walked in the wrong door. They're like, geez, you're on the other side of the lot, kid. Green as all hell. So I finally find Glen Sound, which was the Paramount M stage, recording stage. And it's a small score. It's only about 25 or 30 players. It is John Williams writing the music for The River, conducting it. Tommy's there playing classical gut string guitar. And he says, bring your trumpet case, because if somebody asks you, so you say, I'm going to play, here's your trumpet, show me your trumpet. There's no security. You don't even need an ID. There's no security.
There's a badge.
So I show up, and I'm not sure if I got there before he started or not. I think I did. And I sit behind him, and there's one trumpet player, Warren Looning, famous guy who passed recently. And this is how stupid I am, Greg. I'm wearing shorts and a Ghostbusters tank top. And I have no idea about studio etiquette. So then let's say it's a 10 o'clock downbeat. I'm there 5 to 10. I get in there, and all of a sudden I sit down. And they're going to work, and he just says, okay, everybody, let's do 1M1. And they're listening to click tracks, and there's the pictures behind him. He's the only one that watches it. And this is in the streamers days, where I don't know if you know about streamers, but before digital editing with film with Final Cut Pro and what was the Avid system, the film was all on tape. Right. And when you saw a green streamer go by, you had one more streamer to come, and then you had to hit your downbeat of music with the second green streamer, click, and that's when they started the click track. And it was a manual guy pressing the click track start, and they knew the tempo, and they're literally conducting the music to what he is, and sometimes he'd go faster, slower. I remember the most scary thing was how quiet it was 2 seconds before everybody started playing. It was the most dead silence I ever heard in my life, and I thought I was going to die. And then I'm looking at what they're playing, and the trumpet player is playing these solos, and I go, geez, I'm never going to be able to do this. And Tommy goes, yeah, it's really hard. Then I talk to the trumpet player, Warren Looning, and he says, yeah, you pretty much have to have your classical shit together. You can make a mistake, but you can't make it more than once or twice unless something's really hard. You say, hey, look, this is impossible. Can I change the notes? And he'll say, yeah, sure. But John Williams doesn't make those mistakes. You know what I mean? So that was my first time watching a film score go down for 3 hours. I took a bus back to work that night, and that was it for me. I was moving to LA as soon as I could, as soon as I had enough money to drive out here to be a musician in Los Angeles. Yeah, and it was 3 more years. I did the road and cruise ships, and then drove out in February of '87. Yeah, and that's the score to The River. It's a Sissy Spacek movie, and I think it's Mel Gibson. and it probably came out in '85, but it was recorded in the summer of '84. It's a
Yeah,
good,
I
it's really, it's a
remember.
really great, and it's more like a classical score. It's not that most famous of a John Williams score, but it was like mind blowing. And those things happen every day. That was probably one of 40 sessions going on at the same time at 10 o'clock on a Monday.
But they don't really record movies quite like that unless they're the big
Um,
ones, right? The really huge ones.
yeah, LA gets a little bit, what's happened. I probably was before we were talking is that the globalization of things has hurt our industry in Los Angeles. But then again, it's one of these things where you either want to stay in the card game or not stay in the card game. Our musician union is 25 years behind the curve when other places around the globe can digitally record, have a great studio that's got soundproofing, has great gear, and you don't have to fly there. You can send your PDFs of your score. You literally can just get the digital files back over the internet from London Symphony Orchestra. London Symphony Orchestra can record the score to anything if you send them the PDFs 3 days in advance and you book them and they have a price. They work for no back end. If it's a union contract in Los Angeles for any session, there is back end on everything we do. This is let's say if you're in the car business, you're selling a Lexus. We are the Lexus. Next one down is Cadillac, which is London Symphony in Abbey Road Studios. They charge more for front end, but they're not going to they have a no back end. It's very attractive for any production studio to go, holy shit, really? No residuals? But we'll pay 25% more up front, and they're happy with that. And they're good.
So that's pushing a lot of the business out of LA, I guess.
Yeah, we're probably operating at 1/3 of what LA used to be in the heyday, like in Tommy's heyday. When I moved here in '87, he said, you know what? This digital recording, Pro Tools was probably right infantile right then. He goes, yeah, I see a little difference already because I showed up here in February of '87. He goes, I did not have one studio call in January of '87. He goes, that's never happened in 35 years. He goes, something's going on. And then this, the digital whole, it's part of technology. What are you going to do? You're either going to roll with it or you're not. So
you were ahead of the game in terms of getting onto the digital compared to maybe a lot of other session musicians. You invested in the technology.
Yeah,
back to
as a trumpet player, I got a couple of requests to record from my home. I didn't have the stuff yet. August 30th of 2004, I bought my Pro Tools Digi 002, which is an all-in-one unit where you can feed your microphone into that. It converts the sound, and then you slap that out into Pro Tools on the program. And I got 2 requests within a couple of weeks, like, hey, you don't need to drive to Santa Monica now for this Coca-Cola jingle. It's only 8 bars of trumpet for Latin solo.
8 bars.
Yeah, 8 bars. Do you really want to drive to Santa Monica for 8
an
bars?
hour parking?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The guy says, there's Pro Tools is digital now, and we have broadband. You had to do a FTP load up program, which at the time I used Fetch. I still use Fetch to log on to my website, but that was the only way to transfer a large file in '04 was, and then whatever broadband was, you had to put it to a parking spot. There wasn't WeTransfer and Hightail and all these, transfer things. So, or, there wasn't Dropbox yet. And so I got a couple of requests. Tommy's youngest son, Damon's a recording engineer here in Los Angeles, a great engineer. And I go, hey, and he was already working at Fox Studios. I go, Damon, 2 requests, 2 weeks. What do I need to do to record from home? Make me a list because I think this is going to be big. So I bought a Neumann mic, Pro Tools. I bought some API preamps.
Is this Macintosh based or PC?
Yeah, Mac is better for Pro Tools for sure.
Yeah.
I bought a Tower Mac in its day, and I go, Damon, you going to come over? I'll pay you to show me how to do this. He goes, no, I'm too busy. So I had to get a different engineer to come over. So the standing joke is that he never helped me with any of the tech part of Pro Tools. And Pro Tools is not that hard because it's basically, if you've ever sat behind a mixing board, it's the same thing with faders and all that. I have no mixing board. It's all two monitors here behind me, there. And so, I learned Pro Tools. You're not an expert on it when you start, but as soon as you do your first one and you send it to somebody and you go, wow, okay, so there goes my trumpets. And the guy says, "Hey, I got them. They sound great." And all of a sudden you're like, wow. So then, I always, and then as soon as I found out there's like a market for this, and I'm the first trumpet player in LA, I would send out a blog to composers. I mean, I mine composers as a trumpet player contractor. I have over 500 composers in my database that I'll say, "Hey, still recording from home, bought a new mic, just played on the series The Politician for Netflix season 2, did all the episodes." I'll do that once a quarter. I don't want to bother everybody like once a month like a used car salesman. But so I was the first guy. There's other guys that got into it. I added valve trombone 4 or 5 years ago. I added classical French horn a couple of years ago. So like, I should have done that many years ago as a one-stop brass. But so I always try to stay ahead of what's going on. Now, because of the pandemic, all these people that were not in their home recording studio business,
they're screwed, huh?
Well, they weren't screwed. They, like there was, I got hit from a flute player, another trumpet player. One of the trumpet players in the Los Angeles, LA Phil is a good friend of mine. He's not getting hit to record stuff for people, but he will. But he's an incredible, you don't get the job in LA Phil if you can't play. So they took a 35% pay cut. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got 1,000 followers, I think, by now. He says, I know you record from home. He goes, I need to upgrade my gear. What do I need to get? So I've been helping people with now me making a list of, well, you need a good ribbon mic. You need a United Audio Apollo Twin. You need some good speakers. You need Pro Tools. You need a Mac. You have to spend some money. So there's people jumping in now. If you look around my room, I have sound panels. I made all the sound. There's my trombones. So you have to sound treat your studio to sound like a studio. If you're recording in a bedroom and you have corners with 90-degree angles, you're going to get these slapback waves.
Maybe that's why your room sounds good when you're talking, because a lot of people I do this with, it's all echoey and crap. And yours sounds good. So
I didn't think of that. Yeah, my rug on the floor. I studied it. I played. I have it to a point where it doesn't soak up so much sound that I have to pump harder. It's at a perfect thing. I record. I produce things in here now. The irony is that I now record singers. I record other instrumentalists. I cobble stuff together. I mix and master things now, because out of necessity. Because my room is 15 by 12. I built it myself. I didn't do the drywall or the electrical. But I produce stuff, and I actually need a bigger room. It's fine for now. It's in the garage. It's a room in a room. I could use more space. Before a pandemic, I'm producing these girls called the Satin Dolls. They're singer dancers that do like a Andrew Sisters kind of thing. So
not the Pussycat Dolls.
No,
that's a different.
Pussycat Dolls. I don't even know
about that one too.
I don't know if the Pussycat Dolls are even around anymore. I don't know if they make recordings.
Was it Carmen Electra or somebody like that? Famous woman.
Yeah, maybe. No, it's Carmen, but it's not that.
Carmen somebody.
Yeah, I played on their first hit song, "Don't You Wish," and it's an interesting story because I get a call from this guy at Interscope Records, and he knows me, but I think they call it Musicians Union because they're looking. Nobody plans ahead like, hey, we need a horn section. I think it's the morning of. It's like 8 a.m. Somebody wakes me up. Hey, Interscope Records, needs a horn section for the Pussycat Dolls, and I'm like, yeah, okay. So I call another trumpet player, a trombone and 2 saxes, and we go over there on the west side, and we're just hanging around. The artist is not there. He finally shows up. It's CeeLo Green, which I don't even know who that is, and he's got a couple guys with him, and he's producing a couple tunes. We recorded a couple tunes. One of them is "Don't You Wish," and he's like, "Yeah, I don't read music. I don't know, So I'm gonna sing you some stuff, and come over here and sit down at the keyboard, and we'll make up the horn line. Ba 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 da ba 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 da ba." That's the horn line that made it into Pussycat Dolls' "Don't You Wish." It's
which you just made up on the spot.
Made up on the spot with CeeLo Green.
Do you get composing credit for that at least?
Not for a horn lick. Pussycat Dolls. Yeah, Pussycat Dolls PCD, their first album, Breakout. Let me see. Yeah, there it is right there. So that thing was gigantic, and Busta Rhymes is on it. I don't even know. He wasn't on it when he wasn't there, and his stuff wasn't down. but it's CeeLo Green. He's producing tracks for him because he's a big producer already, right? I don't know who he was. He was the nicest guy in the world. And so we recorded a couple tunes, no charts, real time, couple of mics, 5 horn players standing up, playing live. So then that was a big contact. And so he remembered that. And then he's got this group with Brian Burton called Gnarles Barkley. Like a year later, they're producing the record. And this one does have an arranger. CeeLo is not out here. Brian Burton is here. They do a tune called Crazy. There's no horns on Crazy, but there's 2 or 3 other tunes where there's trumpet on. And I played on St. Elsewhere. This is the album, but not on Crazy. So, but I knew CeeLo Green from that. And from that, again, I did an episode of Parenthood where he sang and played a tune for, we did it live on camera. And I think there's a picture on my website. If not, I have a picture of CeeLo again. So that's like the 3rd or 4th time. So this is a relationship thing you do in the music business, that when somebody likes what you do, they ask for you again. It's all about word of mouth. And then also like, hey, that guy came up with a really cool line with me on Poofy Cat Dolls. Hey, he's a good horn dude. They don't care if you're white, black, whatever. All they know is they had a hit, and we want that guy that did that hit with us. We want that horn section, Angel City Horns. No shit. Yeah. So
Angel City Horns, is that what you call your?
Yeah. Angel City Horns.
Because we're in Los Angeles.
Yeah, Angel City. So Gnarles Barkley, St. Elsewhere. Then the Poofy Cat Dolls I showed you. Linda Perry, same kind of deal. I think she calls a musicians union, and she says, "Hey, I need some horns last minute. They need to come over to my studio in North Hollywood."
Is that Aguilera? Who's that?
Yeah, Christina Aguilera, Back to Basics. This was a huge album, and there was a song called Candyman, Candyman, Candy, da 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 da, Candyman, and it's like a Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy thing, right? She has no charts. She's got horn ideas, bop ba da da ba da ba, and she's got them on a synth. She goes, yeah, but you guys are the horn experts. She goes, I don't read a lick of music. She can sit at the piano and play something, but she goes, I would bring a chart in. She goes, no, I don't want to look at a chart. I don't know how to read. She doesn't know how to read. Linda Perry's she produced Pink. She produced, she's gigantic producer. So we do Back to Basics, 2 CDs. The second CD is Back to Old School Jazz. And we do this other thing called Nasty Naughty Boy. She has no horn parts. And she goes, what's that? It's like a burlesque tune with the plunger. She goes, I need dirty, like stripper club. And there's a song in there that made it big too. And so that's like the first Linda Perry session. There was multiple ones for her, for other ones. You just don't know. Like, and then you show up, you don't know if it's gonna be something that's gonna be big or not. Like this one here, back I think in the 90s, Pat Boone, In a Metal Mood.
Yeah.
He does this thing because he's a Christian guy. He does this thing as a joke. Heavy metal big band. He hires some great arrangers, and he's literally doing a put on because he's like this like, what do you call him, pop easy listening artist, right? Christian,
right? Who hadn't recorded in a long time.
No,
probably.
But his MD was a friend of mine, Dave Siebels, and he goes, yeah, we did the demos, and it got picked up by Atlantic Records or something like that, and they go, yeah, they're gonna do it. It's a put on, and it caught like this buzz. All of a sudden, he's doing like the Tonight Show. He's doing concert appearances, and we're just laughing our ass off because he's got like oh my god, I played on a half of it. What's the really big tune? You would know more than me.
I was just looking at this the other day because it's got like grunge rock, like I don't know, if it's Pearl Jam.
No more, Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah, Alice Cooper. That's an Alice Cooper tune.
Yeah, like he's got Guns N' Roses tunes on here. Like Smoke on the Water. He's got Enter Sandman.
Enter Sandman, that's Metallica.
Yeah, like, so it's a joke. But the thing, so like
with a big band.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, it was
full big band.
Full big band playing in real time with like Don Menza and famous guys in the rhythm section, all I think it was mid 90s. I can't remember, So you just, like though those happen infrequently. The more and more we go with technology, especially now in the pandemic, everybody can, if you're recording with a click track and you send out a track to somebody and you record my trumpet part, then I send it to a sax player. I send them the click track and the trumpet part and the listening track. You can't get off if you're sending the same assets to all your players. And typically the rhythm section will get done first. So if music's getting cobbled together this way better than nothing, the new mantra for the pandemic is better than zero. We're producing a record. Well, how are you going to do it? We're all going to record remote. Well, it's better than nothing. When I did my own big band thing about 10 years ago, I did the rhythm section at a studio in Pasadena called Firehouse, and then I came back to my studio because I couldn't get 15 or 16 guys together at the same time of every my favorite players together in a room for 2 full days. I wanted to have Harry Kim on trumpet sitting next to me. Well, I can make Tuesday, but I can't make Wednesday. And I go, oh my God, really? So in my room, I had myself and 3 other trumpet players, and we tracked the other 8 songs one at a time over 2 days in my own studio with me doing Pro Tools and playing. Then tracked the trombone separately, tracked the saxes separately, tracked the solo separately. That was 10 years ago. And I tracked all the horns from my room. My cousin Damon mixed and mastered it. I didn't want to do that. So it's great times to put together music with the high quality gear that you can get, pretty affordable. Whereas before I got my stuff 16 years ago, let's say 20 years ago, you would have to spend a lot of money in order to get a tape machine, reel to reel. All these things. You're an audiophile with, listening to albums that were made in the 60s, 70s, and 80s on tape. Tape still sounds amazing.
Very expensive
I
to
can
do
count
anything on tape nowadays. People
since
do it though.
yeah, they'll do is they'll record on Pro Tools, they'll feed it back through tape, and then feed it back into Pro Tools to fatten it up. And so there's people that will do tape somewhere in the process. Yeah. So it's just easier to do if you have great mics and great preamps. You can record stuff from anywhere now, and so it's
Billie Eilish did her whole
yeah,
Grammy record in her
yeah,
studio, and then she put on the internet what her equipment was, and
yeah,
could build that whole studio for like $3,000 or $4,000.
yeah. I mean,
Anybody can do that. You don't need a record contract.
no, and
You don't
so
need a label
yeah,
to come and say we're gonna bless you with $500,000.
no. So like
You cut them out a little bit.
yeah, so I mean, the record companies served a purpose back in the day when they had to distribute the goods to record stores. In other words, you needed a record company to get this thing out there because they had those channels.
We don't have record stores either anymore.
No, I think did Amoeba go down too in
No,
Hollywood?
Amoeba actually, they got out of the building lease, and that building is going to be something else, like a high
Yeah.
rise. So Amoeba's moving just down the street.
Oh, okay. So they're not going under. Cool.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
going under.
So
But record stores as a thing,
yeah, I
not
mean,
really a thing anymore.
when the distribution changed, I mean, I don't even know if anybody pays for music. I think my kids pay for music. I think they actually get the fact that if you pay $1 a track for
Well,
iTunes, that
if
the
you're giving
artist
$10 a month to Spotify, the musician's getting $1 for every 8 million plays or some
yeah,
ridiculous number.
it's really bad. So I know that the Grammy Foundation is trying to change that. But once the horse is out of the barn or the genie's out of the bottle, good luck on trying to get more money out of people. So the precedent is set. So we don't know how that's going to play out. But so artists have figured out how to make money in other areas, and obviously one of the big areas was if you were still touring, you could make money, and then while you had product at the merchandise that you sold at a concert, people will buy an album if they're at a concert. They will buy a shirt because they want to remember, even though they own it on their iPhone, even though they own the 10 tracks, they will buy the CD at a show just to go, yeah, I bought the CD at the show. It was 15, so there's a little bit of that, everybody from the ashes rises up, whatever comes out of the music business. It's harder than ever. Like we were talking about YouTube before. YouTube Jacob Collier. You hip to Jacob Collier, and he's this guy that comes up with these amazing arrangements for vocals, and he plays every instrument and plays piano. If you don't know who Jacob Collier, Collier, one of the most amazing young musicians that is a YouTube sensation, zillions of views, who's redefined the music business by himself. And he arranges everything and plays and sings everything, like his vocal arrangements, like, and you go, oh, this is the music business now. So there's little factions of that are going to always be there. Like if the money's there for a Universal picture and they want to do 40 musicians at Warner Brothers Studio in the lot in Burbank, and they have the money to do it, they allocate the money to do it, or hiring a film composer, 40 musicians for 4 days. They know when they're budgeting that thing out, they want to do that. It's a bigger budget movie. $1 million movie, they don't have money for 40 musicians for a week of sessions here in Hollywood. They'll go to the composer, they go, yeah, we have $100,000 for you total. You need to produce the score to this, but we don't want to do Los Angeles. And then the composer is forced to globally shop to get his music recorded.
And he can do it with a guy like you out of his house.
Yeah.
And 3 or 4 musicians can do it.
Yeah, they'll do individual musicians for soloists. I just played on a thing for Netflix that I was the trumpet soloist. The composer used a string orchestra in Budapest, and he didn't hear good
musicians there.
Oh, like
Europeans.
If you have a job in an orchestra, it's not because you are a horrible player. So, but he had some jazz cues, and he goes, yeah, I've heard through the grapevine, you can't send jazz cues to Budapest. It's not what they do. It's not Western music to them. He goes, so I have these jazz trumpet cues for you. Are you available? Are you interested? I said, of course. And it's a Netflix movie. And he had some classical stuff too. And he goes, I got some classical things too. And he says, look at this, because I'm not sure if I can send this to a Budapest trumpet player, because they play Bach and Beethoven and all these things incredible. Can they play film music from Los Angeles? It is a whole nother thing. It is power classical. It's that film score stuff that you hear when you go to a movie, and let's say it's John Williams that we're talking about. And this guy writes some of this classical solo trumpet stuff really high. And I go, that guy is not going to be able to play that in Budapest. I know it. I know what they do over there. They play rotary trumpets. They play Brahms, Beethoven, Bach. They play no modern music at all. You are going to take an hour to record what could take 7 minutes to record me at my studio here. So he goes, you're right. And so what was the name of it? Princess Switched again. And I think it's Christmas time. And then
that's the Netflix show.
Yeah. Princess. I don't know if I put that up. I think it's on my website. I think I try to put up stuff on my website as soon as I do it, because I know if I wait,
we can go to your, that's another topic. We can go to your massive credit list here, which.
Yeah, I did put it on there.
Now, I wanted to get this into the beginning and just mention how massive your credit list is, but this could go on for days here. All the movies that you've been on, shout out any of them if you want to. I can't see your face now that I'm going through.
Yeah, that's okay. No.
Been through.
Yeah, I try to upload stuff.
A billion movies.
Yeah, there's movies but then there's other guys that do more movies than me.
TV shows. 12 Monkeys and the Bill Clinton documentary. You got to meet Bill Clinton. You're going to tell us that story.
Did. Oh, that's a funny story.
And the records that you've been on. And I forgot to mention at the outset, you're also the official bugler of the LA Chargers still, right?
Interesting story. I did 2 seasons, and then last season I was replaced by somebody younger.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I literally was. It was a drag, because the story for the LA Chargers when they moved up here, they never had a live bugler in San Diego. So this guy worked in the fan experience department. I get an email. It might have been in like July. Hey, this is Sean from the LA Chargers. I'm Googling on the internet for trumpet players, and it looks like you have a lot of experience. We're looking to add a live bugler to the element of the games here at StubHub. Would you like to come down to Costa Mesa to meet us? And I go, yeah. I go, I mean, sure. What do you want to do? Well, we don't have an organist like baseball games. We got a DJ, but charges, and you come down, you make up what you want, So I went down. They hired me on the spot. It's a no brainer, right? Da-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da. And I said, I can play any song you want, but then they have to pay the songwriters. So there's no ASCAP or BMI on charges, right?
On Reveille or whatever.
No, so
200 years ago.
Right. So I get the job. I'm hired. I do the first season. I do the second
Home
season.
games only?
Home games only, except
It's like 6 or 8 games a year.
It was 8 games, and then there was an extra. Yeah, there was one. I went to London when they played in London against the Tennessee Titans in October, the second season, and everything's fine. And then they had a real problem
with a band of one person.
Yeah. I'm weird. Walking around the stadium with a remote mic playing charges.
A bugle that's 5 feet long.
And playing a fanfare trumpet, and every time they got a first down, I would play after the national anthem and do a long version of it. And then when they did a first down, I would do ba-da-da-da-da-da, and then they would do charge in the stands. Their biggest obstacle was that they were in a 27,000 seat stadium, and then whenever any other team came, half of the stadium was shirts from another team. Like if the Chiefs came, there's transplants in LA everywhere from every city in the country that come to LA to get their fortunes. So half of the stadium is red shirts, Kansas City Chiefs. So their biggest obstacle is that they're the lowly stepchild from San Diego that moved up because the owners were pissed about the situation down there, and they can't put butts in a seat. Second season I was there, they had a winning record, 12-4. They went to one playoff game. And so come the third season, which was last summer, right about now, they hired a marketing company to try to figure out how to get more people in the stadium. So they must have had a round table, and they said, well, who's this 50-something trumpet player? We got to do something about this. We need something that's more urban. This guy doesn't scream out pro football. I can just see it, a round table of like, what's with this guy? So we went to Italy last summer, the end of July, first week of August. I come back. The next day was my tech rehearsal to try the mic and the new speakers or something. I get a text, hey, call the Chargers office. You're supposed to come in tomorrow night. And then I get off the plane, literally waiting to tarmac. Yeah, we're not going to need you tomorrow night. In fact, we're not going to need you the rest of the season. I go, really? I go, what happened? Well, you give your guys a call tomorrow. They'll explain everything to you. So anyways, I call my guy the next day. He says, yeah, we got a new marketing company, and they've eliminated your position. This is Hollywood, right? So like nothing phases me. You can do anything to me. It's hilarious. Mm-hmm. I'm so used to it. It's like water flowing off the back of a duck. So they say your position's eliminated. So a couple weeks later in August, they do their first home exhibition game, and I have friends in the stadium, like people that would go to the games because they knew me, or people like you make friends, right? So I get this text. They go, "Where are you, dude, man? What happened to I was quote unquote the Bolts bugler." I go, "Yeah, they said my position was eliminated." They go, "No, your position's not eliminated. Here's the picture of your replacement." Swear to God. So the picture of your replacement. Younger, different ethnicity, female. I was dubbed 3 times, and I go, I get it. This says pro football, not me. I understand. So I sent an email to my guys going, guys, you don't need to lie to me. If you tell me I don't fit the job description anymore, I can handle that. I can handle anything in Hollywood. I've been fired from stuff, and Hollywood is so full of crap. You know what I mean? So
I'm interested in going to a Charger game now that they have a young female trumpet player, and you're not there. I mean, really? No one cares.
No. You know what? And then I
get the marketing thing, but really.
You know what? Here's the thing. Like, so these fans that are there, I start getting these hits on my on my website and on Facebook, and because I made, I would go around and I'd ham it up with everybody. And I don't want to say it was like I didn't have a following, but they knew who I was. And all of a sudden, I get an instant message on Facebook. Hey, I'm on the Charger Facebook page. Where the hell are you? This person, I must say gal, she must be an actress or something like that. She goes, the girl can't play, and I go, it has nothing to do with playing. It's whatever says football says football. You know what I mean? So I mean, I totally get it. You know, like, but I had a blast. My first 2 seasons were hilarious. It
You're
was
right
like,
on the field. You got the
oh
best
yeah,
seat in the house.
I did the long bugle call from the 20-yard line on the jumbotron. It's on YouTube. On the jumbotron, and then I used to have to turn on my mic for my bugle. I would watch the game. I had to pay attention. When they got a first down, the guy in the booth up, I think his name was Greg. He announces a couple of the sports teams. Does he do Dodgers? No, it was he does USC football, and I think he did the Clippers. And ladies and gentlemen, another 10 yards for another Charger first down. Ba-da-da-da-ba-da. So I mean, I had to be on. If they're on offense, I'm on offense. So, and then I turn on my mic. It goes through the main speakers in StubHub. It is loud as heck. So it was a hilarious job. I had a blast. So it is what it is. Like my takeaway is that I had a blast. What are you
It
going
was
to do?
fun while it lasted, and you got to be
Yeah.
on the pro football team. You're like one of the only people who got to do that.
I
We have a
stood.
question from a viewer, believe it or not.
Oh, hi.
Is there a Tony Tedesco?
There's a
He
Tony
says you have a
Tedesco.
brother.
No,
Who's
there's
that?
a Tony Tedesco drummer in New York City area that did he play with Tony Bennett? I don't know. He's a freelance drummer in New York City tri-state area, and he's not related. Yeah.
There are a handful of other Tedescos. Aren't there somebody at Tommy's generation, like older guys than you?
No, there's no musicians other than me now. We talked about Denny's the film producer of the Wrecking Crew. His youngest son's a recording engineer. There's a Chris Tedesco country violinist in the New York tri-state area who has a band called the Ranch Hands. He also is a composer.
We're getting
yeah. So
this? Have you heard of this film guy Gary King? Who's
no,
Gary King?
no.
Gary King is watching us and says he knows Tony was a drummer in one of his films.
Oh,
hey Gary, I don't know you, but I'll check you out.
Yeah.
We don't know who your stuff is, but we'll check out your channel.
Yeah,
afterwards. Thanks for watching, Gary.
Tony is a guy. Tony's a good jazz drummer. I think he plays with John Pizzarelli. He played. I think Bucky was the father that passed away last year, right? So
I know Bucky and
yeah,
the guitar player, right?
Yeah, his son John is a singer guitar player. I think Tony plays with John when he travels, and I think when Tony was out here, we threatened to get together with each other because people have been asking us that for 30 years. It's a fairly common Italian name. It comes from Sicily, and actually in the Italian language, it means German. If you say something German in Italian, Tedesco means German. Swear to God. Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah, and it's Sicilian. So, Tommy, this is if you want to spend 30 seconds here. Tommy's name. Tommy's father was an adopted Italian boy from an orphanage in Buffalo. Tommy's grandfather was my great-grandfather's brother. So my great-grandfather, Francesco Tedesco, his brother Gaetano cannot have kids. They adopt an Italian boy. That's Henry Tedesco, Tommy's dad. Not blood, but so check this out. So Henry Tedesco, not a blood adopted kid, marries his cousin who's not blood. He marries one of the daughters of one of the other great-grandfathers, Rose Tedesco, and Tommy enters back into the bloodline from his mom, who's a blood Tedesco. So other than that, it would have just been named. How funny is that?
Circles to get back into the family.
How funny is that?
You're dying to get back in, I guess.
Right.
Good. Interesting.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm 59 and a half. Music business has morphed. I say it changes every 6 months to every year. at what's going on, what's trending, what's trending in music.
Do
There
you
was a
pay
big,
attention to popular music?
yeah, I
I
do,
kind of
but
don't. I'm more into old jazz records and stuff.
I have to a little bit because, well, my kids 19 and 15, they'll play something. I'll go, what is that? There's not much horns on, because being a horn player, obviously I'm looking for gigs playing horn sections and stuff. So there's not much horn stuff for anything kind of modern, although there is occasional stuff. Um, the you have some artists that are going to do some things and stick to their guns. There was a huge jazz resurgent swing dance in the neo 2000s with Brian Setzer and Bep Bump It Up Bip. Uh, the tune by oh my God, Senior Moment, Jump Jive and Wail back in the early 2000s. So
Right.
there was a ton of recordings going on for horn players doing neo swing albums. Everybody did a neo swing album. So
Gordon Goodwin, for example.
yeah, Gordon
Sean was
Goodwin's
playing that chart the other day.
yeah, Gordon Goodwin's Big Fat Band has resurrected modern big bands worldwide. He's incredible. I mean, like he's a me. I don't know if he's got a team of people, but he's an amazing composer, arranger, sax player. His sax playing is ridiculous. His piano player is ridiculous. And then he's resurrected big bands, not old swing big bands, but big bands to be cool. And so it's a worldwide brand name, and that's helped horn players all around the world. Hilarious. We share the same birthday, December 30th. He's
Hmm.
he's old. He's probably older than me by 5 or 10 years, but the guy's a machine. And so not they're doing like a big band summer jazz camp online this year because they typically do a thing for a week long in Thousand Oaks somewhere,
Mhm.
and so he's perpetuating that. So you have these forces that are not going to go down during COVID. People need to make money. People need to create. This is what we do. So, musicians are gutter rats. We're going to survive almost. We are. It's gonna be us and the cockroaches. We always figure out how to land on our feet. Um, you
That's
know,
true because musicians work with a very
yeah,
unsteady income, unsteady
yeah.
futures.
I mean,
Tour is up, tour is canceled, whatever.
yeah, I mean, most musicians start with nothing. They just start, they graduate with a degree and they practice, or they don't ever finish. It really depends on if everybody's unique. You can drill down on your what you do best and play down what you don't do best. I've always played classical. I've always warmed up and was a classical based musician, but then also loved jazz in high school, played in jazz bands, played in the all county jazz band, all state jazz band in New York State in 77, 78.
I did that
And
stuff too when I was in high school.
yeah, I mean, so like,
Monterey Jazz Festival twice.
yeah. So like,
High
I,
school.
I, the guys that play in the LA Phil are incredible trumpet players. I didn't want to be just one type of player. I wanted to be a little, because I love old jazz. I love 20s and 30s and 40s. I love playing classical Copeland. It's a challenge to be able to change gears between things. And studio work is all that. Studio work has always been being able to play different styles. And that's what Tommy did with the Wrecking Crew and all those guys that did these records. I mean, the Monkees were basically a bunch of actors first, and then they got taught how to play their instruments. Those guys didn't get credits on their albums until they were able to play. But in the same week, the next week, you could go do a film date, like I said with John Williams. Um, most of there was players that did one type of music better, um, but Tommy's definition of a studio player was this. It was kind of like a security guard walking down the street, guiding and guarding somebody. That security guard didn't go down the street just kicking over people as he went by people. He didn't need to do that, right? He could do that if he had to. So the studio player definition is somebody who has all these things in their toolbox, and then you bring them out when you're asked to do it. Yeah, that's a true studio player, because the guys played classical jazz. I mean, film scores back in, like let's say you were playing for cartoons in the 40s and 50s at Warner Brothers for those Carl Stalling things.
Hmm.
And, they have da 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 da, and you'll have 4 seconds of that, and all of a sudden you'll have bum ba da 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 ba 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 da ba
It's from
dee da
opera to
ba.
jazz and then back
Yeah,
again
there's
in 2
opera,
seconds.
4 bars of opera, 4 bars of jazz. Like so. The studio mentality is you prepared, and the woodwind players, they would prepare themselves playing every instrument, flute, clarinet, saxophone.
Tommy with the double,
Tommy, that's why.
mandolin and all these
Yeah,
weird instruments we can't even pronounce.
he had every stringed instrument that you can imagine. Balalaika.
Or a
Tho-
sitar or
yeah, his,
whatever.
his famous story about he didn't have a sitar, but he was doing Indiana Jones, and I think it's in. He's got a second book. If you don't have this book, it's really great, but it's not like a guitar method book. He's got this other book called Confessions of a.
I actually haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's called Confessions of a Guitar Player, and it's called Center Stream. Hal Leonard, and I think Hal Leonard took over that old Red Tommy book. That Hal Leonard puts out the
Right.
for guitar players only. So, anyways, there's a story in there about how he's doing Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom, and it calls for a sitar. He didn't play a sitar. He might have had one. It might have been one of those things where he didn't dig it because he tuned everything like a guitar. Whatever your first guitar string is, whatever went up, that's what he did. So he uses a banjo for Temple of Doom, loosens the strings, and plucks them, and he must have experimented with this at home. Plucks them, and he gets it to sound like a sitar.
Really?
Yeah, uses a loosened string banjo to be a sitar, and they buy it. So he was like
Close enough.
he was a master. He was the master of deception.
Just get it done.
I learned so much from him. I play a valve trombone. I have some slide bones, but I'm not as good with a slide. But I will use it if I have to go. And I have a B flat French horn. And I started adding these instruments, thinking like Tommy, like, okay, a single B flat French horn plays like a trumpet, but you play it left-handed. A valve trombone plays like a trumpet, but it's an octave lower, same valves. And it's studio wise, as long as the sounds get on the hard drive, nobody cares how you get it there.
Well, Tommy would say, if I can play 4 instruments, I can get paid 4 times. Is that still the truth?
Well,
Because now you're
the more
a sitar player from coming in and taking your spot, you might as well play yourself.
That's exactly right. So if it's related to your instrument, you can make more money. That's why you do it. You do it also to make more money. You can bill more. Like if I do a horn section thing and I do trumpet and trombone, or like a classical thing, trumpet, trombone, French horn. Well, okay, let's say it's a non-union thing and the guy's got an X amount of dollars. He's got a limited budget, and he was thinking, I'm going to hire 3 players. I need a classical bone player. I need a classical French horn player. I need a classical trumpet player. 3 players. I just did something for Amazon, and the guy says, "Hey, because he knows I contract players too. I hire a lot of players for a lot of things." He goes, "I need a bone player and a French horn player for this theme. I think it's a news show or something like that." He told me the name of it. I can't remember it. It's in my Quicken. I don't think I put it up yet on my website. And I go, "Hey, John, send me the PDFs. I need to look at these parts because if the parts are in my wheelhouse, I'll do all 3." And he sends them to me. It's like 16 measures. It's so easy. I go, "John, I got it. I'm going to do all 3 for you. And you don't have to spend quite that money. I'll give you a deal because I'm going to do all 3 parts." So that all comes from Tommy Tedesco being the master of business of, this is what I do for a living. It's a music business. I can play these instruments. What do people ask for? And he started getting in those extra instruments when film music would change. I don't know when it changed, where he'd get a Greek boat scene and he'd play a balalaika, which is it's a triangle looking thing, right?
Guitar thingy.
Yeah. And it's a Greek guitar, right? Is that what it is? So
it's like a guitar.
Yeah, so he figured out, I got to get one of these things. So I mean, his guitar player column, it would put up what he made and how many instruments he played, and that's what he did. And he put that column together because it was like he later in his life, it was all about giving back because he had this great life as a studio guitar player. Like, people are asking me to like write a column. It's like, hey, you're the most recorded studio guy we know. What did you just play on? Yeah, I mean,
I used to read that in the day back in the
yeah, I
late
mean,
70s, early 80s. That's when I was
yeah,
all the guitar
amazing,
player.
yeah, amazing view of what, pre YouTube and pre pictures and stuff. So I try to take videos of stuff that I go to that's pretty cool, um, and upload it usually on YouTube if I have time, and then I'll write what it is, and
We'll throw your website up here.
yeah,
Where did I
ChrisTedesco.com.
do that?
Uh,
It's not too hard to figure out. It's christedesco.com.
yeah, I'm so findable.
And your YouTube channel is also Chris Tedesco.
Yeah, it's Chris Tedesco trumpet, and there's
I don't have that queued up, but you guys can find it on the Google.
yeah, I'm not sure how many videos I have up there, but it's a
I
full.
got 200 videos in a year and a half.
You have 200?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
just me saying, here's a record.
yeah,
In the last few, during the COVID, I'm trying to get more music
yeah,
people to interview because we're all sitting around at home going,
yeah.
I'm
I
not,
mean,
I'm not out in the stores buying records anymore. I'm at home.
you can buy them online. Like
Yeah, I
so.
do that too, but
There's the more stuff that's happening in COVID, the more people want to have a film of you playing on stuff. Like, I put my iPhone in the side by side mode, and they want video of you recording your part. So I mean, I track everything in Quicken when I do a job. Somebody owes me money. If it goes through a payroll company and through the union contract and all that stuff, if it comes direct from the person or so, I track everything. That's how I do my website. I have to keep track of, because it's now I get an email. Hey, what are you doing today? Today's Friday. Last week, I got hit in the morning. One company's in New York via this producer that lives out here that used to be in New York. Hey, we got an Eloquist commercial. I need some jazz swing trumpet. And then through this guy that lives in LA, he was demoing another commercial. I can't remember unless I look at my computer for Quicken. Oh, it was Dos Equis, and it's Spanish trumpet. So I literally get an email in the morning. Hey, we're the client for the product, Dos Equis marketing company. They'll get 3 versions of what they're looking at and what they like, and decide which one goes final. So you do demos all the time, and they pay money. Email in the morning. Hey, are you around? I got a demo for Eloquist. Hey, are you around? I got a different composer. I got a demo for Dos Equis. So, like, I don't want to say it's fully swung around that if I leave my studio, I lose work, but I have lost work by being outside the house pre-COVID-19, being out and not being able to turn around a session for somebody by the time I got home.
I hope you're not missing any calls by yakking with me for an hour. Keep your eye on the phone. Make sure
It'll be on
John
email.
Williams didn't call you.
No. It'll be on email, and then if they really want me, they'll be on text, and they'll say, "Hey, dude, what are you doing, dude?" 911. They'll do a 911. Hey, man, are you around? And here's the good thing, Greg.
Yes, sir.
It's 33 years probably past when companies have been digital sampling. I've done sample companies. I've done Cinesamples, classical brass. I've done Roland. Oh my God! I
Where you record the sound that becomes the sample, you mean?
Yeah, and so the sample
library. That as a library.
Yeah, sample libraries exist. They've been around for 35 years at least. Now, the sound that they record is amazing. It's exactly what digital technology allows. It's the replayment. It's the replayment of that sample on a keyboard in a sequencer that doesn't translate to a live player blowing air again.
Yeah.
Me blowing into my micro. Yeah,
horn is the hardest one to do, also.
Yeah, trumpets. God bless the guys that have sample libraries. They make money off of sample libraries.
All you want is eighth notes and quarter notes. It could probably sound okay, but as soon as you're phrasing,
as soon as you
melodies and
as soon as you phrase,
thing called legato or
and the same with sax. Your son plays sax.
Yeah, sax and trumpet don't work on the.
Yeah, they don't. As soon as you play a long note, I mean, there's algorithm that's kind of changed. There's a few companies that are getting close, but then as soon as a composer sends a track, and then you send some. I did something yesterday. I did a Universal Pictures movie for this great songwriter composer called Lisbeth Scott. She's got zillions of YouTube views. She's sang for League of Legends. She's sang for video games. She's got her own albums. She's a film and TV composer. She's a great person. She had to redo a track for a wedding scene in this movie called All My Life. Literally, I'm on my Fetch program loading it up yesterday. I forgot to load it up. So she's re-recording "Hit Me With Your Best Shot," Pat Benatar. The scene in the movie, there's a trumpet player in the wedding band, and that person's got a horn up. She sends me a couple tracks where she says, "Here's the spots where this guy or gal has their horn up. We need to replace what's ever there." Universal Pictures movie. I don't know what's coming out. All My Life. I have not done the research on who's in it. Anyways, so she says, "Hey, here's your sound areas. Make up your own horn licks. Whatever you make up is going to be better than what I made up." Swear to God. And I know her for a couple years. I've done many sessions for her. I've never played in front of her. I have numerous composers I've never recorded face to face.
Or maybe never met in person either.
You know what? The funny thing is that I work with this guy called Matt Quayle. Matt Quayle is a prolific. There's so many composers that maybe many people don't know about. Matt Quayle does the music for iRobot. I'm not sure if the show is still on. He does American Horror Story. He does the Netflix series called The Politician. And Matt got referred to me from one of his assistants, sax player. Yeah, Chris plays trumpet and trombone. And I end up doing every episode of The Politician, season 1. We just did season 2. I've done American Horror Story Cult, which was, I think, season 6. Just did the theme, French horns and trumpet. And Mac is a good friend. We only met when we went and played a concert of film and TV music at the TV Academy over there in North Hollywood. Was the first time we met face to face and played together, and we had probably done 4 or 5 things before that. And the standing joke is, oh, well, we know each other, what we look like from Facebook and stuff, but you finally go up to somebody and go, nice to finally play with you. And that's the world. And that's not like, this is the future is recording from home. No. It's been recording from home. There was people that asked me 5 years ago, so how you doing? I go, I'll be the last one recording. I'm not the last one now, but I said I will be one of the last guys recording in LA when all this falls apart for whatever reason,
When
So
it really fall apart, it did.
It's just you got to be able to roll with it. So it's interesting. Like I don't like get down and out like, oh my God, there's what's going on. There's nothing going on. I've been pretty steady since the pandemic because I've been doing this before. The only thing I don't have is live gigs out of the house. Like I said, I've done 1 duo gig in April. Every other gig has been canceled. I don't even look at my date book. My date book's a joke. People will say, hey, what are you doing on the 16th? I go, what are you talking about? Well, there's no gigs out of the house. You can't put people in I can't even go to a.
Yeah. We wouldn't go out if there was. I mean,
no.
No one wants to go out until it's clear, so we're staying home.
Yeah. So then, I've got to do an episode of this show called Go Dog Go, which is based on the children's book. I have no idea where it's going. The composer's a great composer. It's animation. It is all of those crazy styles. And I'm doing trumpet, trombone, and French horn. And I got 6 pages of music I printed out for the guy. And he's got a timeline for me. It would be great to get it by the 18th, but there's a couple extra days leeway. We're working on other. It's episode 108. Which is the first season, but it's the eighth episode. And there's all these areas where they need live brass. And that's why I'm still working. Live brass is still 20 to 30% better than fake. Now, there's some sample.
Way more than 20%.
Yeah, I don't know. But there are some sampled sounds that are incredible. Like if you've ever heard sampled drum loops, you go.
Drums are easier.
Yeah, there's a bunch of sounds that are much easier. So, like when I moved out here in '87, Tommy goes, hey, I don't know what I can do for you. I mean, you have my last name, but I don't play trumpet. I don't play trumpet. You don't play guitar. He goes, I can't vouch for your trumpet playing. I'm a guitar player. So who's going to ask me how you play? Like, are they going to say, am I going to say, hey, you need to hire this guy? He's a mofo. He goes, you fall on your face somewhere. That's back on me. And that's a family member going, he says, you need to make your own way, and then it just takes years and years of people being comfortable with you and word of mouth. And then not everybody is a perfect fit. I've had guys that you can tell after you start working with somebody recording, remote or there. It's a personality. It's like a human thing. You either work together with somebody well or you don't. I've had a few people like, yeah, I don't really like those licks that you sent me. You sent me a bunch of licks and I didn't like any of them. And I go, wow. Okay, do you want me to redo them? Yeah, let's do another shot at them. And then I don't like those ones either. I go, you know what? We are not a musical fit, and you got to walk away from it. It's just, and you scratch your head going, geez, I thought I knew everything after 33 years of playing the trumpet for people.
Can't
And you
fit
go,
with everybody.
yeah, and you go, well, and then you figure it out. You go, he's looking for something that I don't have, and maybe somebody else has got it out there. I don't know.
There's one for everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you maybe one last story. Got to go have lunch soon. I saw you post on Facebook a couple of years ago your experience playing for one of the world's most famous mediocre sax players at the Broad Museum.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It
Is
is.
that a good story
Yeah.
to end this year?
It's a funny story because like I former President Clinton, um, and he's at this party. It was Eli Broad is the one of the biggest,
The
uh,
billionaire.
zillionaire developer.
Real estate
Kaufman.
developer, and he created Sun America Securities, which I'm in the financial business. So he's a bazillion.
So so yes, I
We have
don't
the
even
same
know.
name, Kaufman and Broad, but no relation.
You
I
need to get
wouldn't
his
be.
residuals.
I wouldn't be here doing this if
Yeah.
I.
So he apparently did a gig at his house probably 10 years ago. I don't remember
But
what it
Eli
was.
Broads.
Yeah, it's a
Wow.
modern house in the hills.
House.
Like, yeah,
House.
it's a mansion, but it's modern. It's 60s, mid-century modern, right? So, and he's got like original paintings on the wall. And then I heard through the grapevine that he was a contemporary art collector. Like he'll have an original Picasso on his wall. He's that guy. So, anyways, I'm working for a gal who was an entertainment booker. She's working for the company that's the party planner, and they're throwing this gigantic party to open up the Broad Contemporary Museum of Art downtown LA. And they want a Hollywood Bowl type orchestra without hiring the Hollywood Bowl orchestra because it's probably 65 players and way too expensive. So this gal, Lynn Gordon Entertainment, hits me and she goes, I think this is what you do. You have a 35-piece album, a 35-piece orchestra on your jazz album. On my jazz album, Chris Tedesco, Living the Dream, it started
Living
off
the
with
dream.
two tunes on there are 35-piece orchestra. Warner Brothers doing like a classic Hollywood thing with strings, woodwinds, brass, and vocalists.
I don't have a copy.
Yeah, I'll get you one. Yeah. So she goes, you have like a studio orchestra on your album, and you've done pop shows as an artist, right? So she goes, I need like a pops orchestra, 48 or 50 pieces for this gig for 2 nights. They're opening the Broad Museum, and she goes, money's no object, but we want we want some pop, we want some film music, we want Eli Broad is into Sinatra. Do you have any Sinatra arrangements? We had to buy a couple of things for pops orchestras. Let's say it was Sinatra night at the Bowl. I've Got You Under My Skin is available for a pops orchestra with or without a singer. So there's a budget to buy. So this thing is a month in the making, and I hired an assistant to be my librarian, Paul Piazza. You probably know who he is. He's a trumpet player, and he's my librarian. This is a huge job. Budget for
I
the
found out
orchestras.
the scores and charts and
Yeah, like
organizing them. That's a whole job for those who don't know.
we're interfacing with the entertainment company that's feeding us the information. He loves Sinatra. He loves classical music. He loves the Hollywood Bowl. So you're taking orders, right? And so the budget for the orchestra, I still have a picture to check, was $98,000 for 2 nights, 48-piece orchestra. Every dignitary in LA is there, every star. So we walk in the first night, and we're there for a sound check. We walk past this dinner table, and it says Eli Broad, Bill Clinton, Donna Shalala. Donna Shalala used to be the Clinton she was the head of the Clinton Foundation. She was also the provost of the University of Miami. This ties in with the University of Miami. Mm-hmm. So we see the card, and we're just looking at all the names, and it's, who's who of Hollywood and business, and he's a big Democratic guy, and we're just like, oh, geez, this is bigger than I thought. And then so we play our dinner music. We're literally there for an hour and a half straight. We are dinner music. Then they're bringing on Chrissy Hines for like a little show for 35 minutes. So after the first night, we're in our white jackets. We're done. We're walking around a little bit, and I didn't know this. We weren't allowed to walk around anywhere. Nobody ever told us, hey, don't go out in the audience or anything.
Don't go ask for autographs.
No. So no. And I totally don't do this, right? So my student who had graduated U Miami probably in we're 2010, let's say 2006. He gets his degree. Donna Shalala hands him his degree, and Paul Piazza goes, hey, let's go. I saw Donna Shalala's name out there. Let's go see. I want to go say hi to her. She handed me my degree. So I go out there with my conductor, University of Miami graduate, Andre Raphael. He was the conductor of the Wheeling Symphony. I brought him out here to conduct the Pops Orchestra because I did two separate times going to the Wheeling Symphony, West Virginia. I want to say it was 2003, and then 2005 I had went out and soloed with them. And I had these arrangements already, right? And we had some custom arrangements. Long story short, Andre is conducting the Broad gig for 2 nights. He says, yeah, let's go meet Donna Shalala. He knows her too. So we go out there. Here's this little Lebanese gal. She goes, oh my God, you guys are the orchestra. She goes, you guys are amazing. Bill's been talking he's a musician, right? Sax player, right? Bill's been saying, oh my God, did that orchestra just play Take 5? Oh my God, did the orchestra just play James Bond? Oh my God, did the orchestra just play an Italian film music medley? She goes, come with me. And she takes my arm, and I go, no. I don't want to meet Bill Clinton. I'm like he's the president of the United States. No. She goes, no, come with me. And she drags us, and he's talking to somebody else. Taps, and she's good friends with him, right? Running the Clinton Foundation after University of Miami. Bill, orchestra, Bill comes over. He goes, oh my God, did I hear you guys play Take 5? I have to tell you the story about meeting Dave Brubeck when I was in high school. He came to our school and he played a concert. Then we played a concert with him, and he came up to me and said, hey, your name's Bill. Do you know the bridge to Take 5? And Bill Clinton, me, Paul Piazza, Andre Raphael, and he starts singing, ba-da, ba-da, ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da, and we're all singing together with Bill Clinton. I look at him, and I look at these guys, and I go, this is bizarre. And then his security guard, their big African-American guy, I go, is it okay to talk to him? He goes, yeah. He goes, he'll be here for 10 minutes now talking music with you. This is his favorite subject. And then he starts talking about what we were doing. He's, oh my God, this is the best thing I ever heard. It reminds me of the Pops when we used to do the concerts for 4th of July. He goes, you guys want to get a picture and all that? Nicest guy on the planet. And I'm like, so then we're done with that whole meet and greet for 10 minutes. We walk downstairs to our changing room, and one of the guys from the booking agency, entertainment company that's interfacing with Bro, comes down and says, oh my God, I can't believe you guys went into the audience. Nobody told you guys that you weren't supposed to go out there, and you went and met Bill Clinton. I go, whoa, Val. I go, nobody told me that I was never allowed to go past the stage, not to go out and do anything. No, never got that memo. And I thought to myself, how anticlimactic was that? And like and my gal I was working for, who's my direct boss, she's like, yeah, blow it off. The guy's too uptight. He goes, you didn't do anything wrong. I didn't engage any of that. It's the most bizarre story, but it's hilarious. It's
Under the
like,
contract.
yeah, yeah. He totally was like into like, forget everything else. I want to talk about music with you guys. I mean, how funny is
That's
that?
cool. That's fun.
I
That's
don't
a
think I
great
put,
experience.
I don't think that picture's on my website yet. I mean, I do my own website, so I have to put up that picture.
It was on your Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to put it up.
Chris, we talked almost an hour and a half. Well, you
I love
talked and I listened. So
I love it.
we'll do it again sometime. You got plenty more stories.
Oh yeah.
So everybody, check out ChrisTedesco.com. Check out his YouTube channel, Chris Tedesco Trumpet, from the
Yeah.
legendary Tedesco music clan. And glad you're finding work in the middle of the COVID crisis.
Thank God. Yeah, I mean, we like to play with other people at the same time. That's gone. So my digital recording business from the home studio, if I didn't have that, I'd probably be bad. I'd be batshit crazy.
Well prepared with your digital recording.
Yeah.
And a lot of musicians aren't so lucky and are hurting.
Well,
so we'll keep them in mind too.
I think they're all figuring it out. I'm helping them with their gear. They'll call me up. Hey, I got a Pro Tools question. Tell me what's going on. Show me your screen. I'm happy to help anybody if they're trying to survive, and we will survive.
That would be good content for you to keep doing on your website. Just show people how it works. They're not going to come take your jobs. There's plenty of work out there for other.
No. There's whoever likes.
Whoever learns how to do it.
Yeah.
Trying to get people to watch the online live streaming that some people are doing. Some people are monetizing that.
Yeah, no, I know. There's
and the jazz clubs are doing that.
I have to talk to you and others because that might be a thing where I know there's Patreon and there's all these things. Some
you got to get those numbers up into the thousands to make money.
Yeah, there's
on that, but people are going to come to look for good content. If if it's instructional, how does this work? How do I do it?
Yeah,
how are people making money at it?
And they just type in what they're looking for on YouTube or Google. Like when my Google search stuff for my trumpet playing or in my live groups is very strong, very top of the page, which I get about half my work.
So long because you got in early before people knew it was a thing. That's great. That's a great way to
the 20-year history
into Google.
Yeah, Google history and HTML, older full developer site. If you Google Dixieland Band Los Angeles, I come up. There'll be Gig Salad. There'll be a website called The Bash, and those are intermediaries that you pay a percentage to. The third one down is Angel City Dixieland Band, and that's me. Yeah, so it's all about rolling with it.
I've some of my videos do 10, 20,000 views.
That's a lot.
Because if I do something that's timely, so it's a little too late now. But 2 weeks ago, Ennio Morricone died.
I know.
And if you would have put up a video of whatever Ennio Morricone, maybe you did, but that would have gotten 5,000 views that week because everybody's searching. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to. I have a friend in Milan.
You got to be timely, right? With the news breaks today, you got to get that out today.
That's a total full-time job. I have a friend in Milan who makes 700-800 euro a month from Google from his YouTube channel. He's got Morricone, Good, Bad, Ugly up there. He's got thousands of views. Now, my problem is that I'm still busy making front-end money where I don't have uninterrupted blocks of time where I can get the music for the trumpet solo to Good, Bad, and Ugly and film myself, stream the thing on the bottom, and put that up a week after Ennio Morricone died. So, I need two of me to be able to do that. Or stop doing these front end jobs that pay money front end. It's a full time.
You just gotta work it in. You gotta work it in your spare time, and literally, people do these when they're driving in their car to work. I'm like, hey guys, I just want to give you my thoughts on Ennio because I love him, and boom,
Yeah, they find
Baker died. I had a video up with his vinyl records within hours, and it got a few thousand views. So
so then
that's one way to do it is just to whatever's trending in the music world.
I know.
That's just one piece of
no. It's a full time. It's a full time gig for sure. And
I only make videos 1 or 2 days a week. I wish I could do it every day, but
hey, so look up Jacob Collier if you haven't.
I wrote that down.
Oh, you're gonna be blown away from this
I
kid.
wrote that down.
Oh, yeah. So it's actually very interesting times for the online thing, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, look at that group Pentatonics, the vocal group. You know those guys?
I'm not sure if I do acapella.
Yeah, acapella. Yeah. Pentatonics, gigantic. Yeah. So interesting times. We'll see what happens. We don't know.
As long as the internet doesn't get turned off, we'll all
No. Yeah. If you lose power, you're screwed.
They could do that to us too. You never know. Chris,
good to talk to you again.
Let's get going and have some lunch here.
Yeah, I'm
starving. They got it waiting for me.
Thank
you so much for talking to us. And you guys don't forget to check out Chris on YouTube and call him up for any trumpet gig, anytime, dare night. He's ready to send you those files. Oh, yeah. All right, signing off, guys.
I'll talk to you later. Thanks for being, Greg. Thanks for hitting me. Bye.
Anytime.